Okay, Shane, I'm just jumping right in here.
What's up?
We were not as funny as I thought we should have been last week.
What do you mean? I thought we were pretty funny.
I mean, okay, so a gimmick here, right, is that we are watching Justice League 52 times because DC has a big love for that number 52.
Mm-hmm.
And so we want to make this funny, right? Because Justice League is inherently not the most enjoyable film to watch.
Well, it's a comedy though, right?
I mean, okay, sure, there's some funny moments. Uh, there's some funny moments in it, but it is not a comedy film. If anything, it is a tragedy.
Oh, then I've been looking at this in the absolute worst way I could then. Complete
Also,
opposite.
I would like to mention, just even before we talk about the movie or anything else, one of the production studios that worked on this film is
Mhm.
called Cruel and Unusual.
That's the production company?
Yeah, and I thought I was talking about the movie.
Oh shoot.
I was like, oh, that's actually like again one of those things that you're like, who are they, and why does that fit the movie so well? Oh, by the way, hi, I'm Connor.
And I'm
This is
Shane.
50. This is 52 ever, where we watch Justice League for 52 weeks in a row. It's good
Yeah,
time.
and we're only on week 2, and I was already starting to feel a little bit of the drag watching it the second time.
Well, I changed it up. So last week I talked about watching it on the Blu-ray
Uh-huh.
and how terrible that like interface is.
Yeah.
This time I did it on our on the digital on
Oh, on Voodoo.
Voodoo.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah, shout out to
also
Voodoo
terrible.
if Voodoo wants to shoot any money towards us for advertising.
You did not hear the last thing I said, did you?
Oh, the interface for Voodoo?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Oh, is it just how to get to like my movies, or is it like
I
where's your issue with it? Because my issue's always been with how to get to the my movies part.
I mean that's also bad. I really like how well not Amazon Netflix and Hulu used to have this until they changed it too, where when you log in, it'll automatically go to your list, which is nice.
Yeah, I never understood why that wasn't like just how Voodoo
Default.
did it. Yeah.
But no, not that actually, because I know how to do it and it's fine. Actually, I think because you watched it before I did,
Mm-hmm.
it was sitting there, so I could just go onto it and just hit restart. But all of that stuff looks like it was made in 2007. Like when you
Yeah.
do go to that page, you start click on it, the little when you watch the movie, the little bottom with the pause, the select, the stop. All of that looks like it's from 2007, and that bugs me.
Well, I never understood why like once you click on the movie, you couldn't just there wasn't a restart movie option. Is there for you?
Yeah,
Because I don't.
if you click on it, like and then continue watching, I guess,
Uh-huh.
because you had that, and then I saw that you were watching Rise of Skywalker. If I
Mm-hmm.
click on that, it will say resume or restart, and I just clicked that.
Were you watching it on the PlayStation?
Yeah,
Okay. I don't know if maybe it's because I'm using the Roku, but it doesn't.
that might be it.
I don't
But
know. It actually weird because the TV we have out in the living room is Apple TV, and I hooked it up there, and you actually can't get to my lists on it, which is
that
really
is
weird.
that's strange.
Like, because they added the new feature where you can make lists with individual movies in there and everything. And I can get to it on the Roku, I can get to it on my phone, on the computer, but I can't get to it on the Apple TV version of the app, which is really odd.
Do you want me to actually talk about the movie for a second?
I guess we should probably get back to that.
So we know the opening of this movie, Superman talking to a group of kids who are doing a podcast, even though it's in video, which is not a podcast, but that's fine.
It's a vodcast or vidcast.
Why? And this is the problem. I only noticed it in this scene, but I'm sure it's in the scene at the end of the movie where he actually joins the fight. Why
Hmm.
does Superman's suit have like the muscle like indents and stuff like it's a Halloween costume.
So he looks bigger.
Okay, but he's Superman. It doesn't matter if Superman's buff or not. It just looks good because he's already super strong.
Well, that and Henry Cavill's pretty jacked, anyways.
I know that was a weird thing, right? Like I'm watching him, like why does he have like the 6 pack like definition and like the muscle definition on the suit itself?
Yeah. I
I
mean,
mean,
I
for
know that
Ben,
they add it so that it makes them look bigger, but I mean, for Affleck and Cavill, they're both pretty jacked. I don't think they really need it, but I guess visually they do it just so that they look bigger.
well, okay, so it makes sense for Batman, right? Because Batman is an actual suit he made,
Hmm.
so that makes a little more sense.
Well,
But
yeah, Superman's comes pre-padded for him.
it comes from space.
It's
It's
pre-padded.
it's literally a spacesuit. Uh, so that's just the first actual note I had when I was watching it again. Uh, do you want me to do? So I had 2 thoughts going into this. Do you want me to go through my big thought or just a bunch of my little ones?
Uh, you can go through the big one. We can start off with that.
Okay. So last week we talked about this being a video game.
Hmm.
And so while watching the movie, I imagined what all of the action scenes would be like as video games,
Yeah.
as a video game. So the first one would obviously be a tutorial mission. You're Batman fighting the burglar Bill Tench.
Yeah, from Mindhunter.
Yeah,
Who
which
not now watching it a second time in what 7 days, it still throws me off.
can I
Probably
also
worse than it did the first time.
fun fact that actor did not even
Hmm.
get credited in the movie for it.
Really?
Yeah, I went on I think his IMDb and it says that he's in it because I wanted to see what the burglar's name was. His name
Hmm.
is Burglar, which is hilarious because is that his first name or his last name?
No. It's burglar.
Okay, like Mario. Okay,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
but so I wanted to see that, and then I saw that he was uncredited. I'm like, I guess fair enough. I wouldn't want to be named in this movie either, but
So was it burglar uncredited, or did it actually have his name but it was uncredited?
no, it had on his Holt McCalley. I don't remember how you say his name.
Hmm.
Uh, it has burglar in commas after that, uncredited.
Oh, so you actually had to go to his page and
Yeah,
then
I mean,
look
I
through.
I probably could have found it on the Justice League page, but I just wanted to know his name.
So
But
uncredited. So you just made a lot of directors mad because you didn't actually sit through the credits and read all the names.
well, he would have not been there, so I couldn't have done it that way. Uh, but so obviously that would be the tutorial fight. You get fighting a human and you get fighting a parademon.
Hmm.
So I have a question.
Yes.
How did Batman know that parademons go after fear? How did he know that they do that?
Was there? See, I haven't watched Batman vs Superman in a while, but what I can remember, I don't think there was anything in Batman vs Superman that told him.
Yeah, so he just knows that for some reason.
He's Batman. He's the essence of fear.
That's true, but I don't think. Can
Maybe
he
he could
smell
speak
the
to them.
fear? So really,
Maybe-
he's not Batman. He's parademon man.
Yeah, he can speak to them. He was actually just trying to figure out like who their boss was, where they were coming from, so that he could take out the boss and then control them for himself.
Also, so we made fun of the 3 boxes thing, how the demon explodes and it leaves the 3 boxes perfectly on there.
Yeah, it's like, oh hey, look.
Actually, if you watch that again, his 2 pectoral muscles and his stomach light up,
Hmm.
and they correlate to those explosion points. So really, it's just super convenient that they blow up that way.
Yeah, I don't like
That's really dumb. Uh,
it.
Also, my last note on that scene is that after they stop the parademon, Batman says that they have to go north, like start going north that night.
Hmm.
But the next time we see him, I'm assuming it's the next day, and he just grew on a full beard in a day or a couple of days.
That's true. So, well, yeah, because he would have shown his mask would have shown if he had the scruff and everything,
Which
and
they
he
do
clearly had
actually,
that.
which he does get later, which is funny, because they remove, again, Henry Cavill's facial hair, but they let Batman have his, which is
And how
funny.
come? What's the point in having him have facial hair just to cut it off in the following scene, anyways?
Yeah.
Like, I
Plus,
understand it was probably so that it shows that he spent a lot of time looking for Aquaman, but they never once made you feel like he was actually spending a lot of time looking for him.
no, he did all of his. We're not even in that scene yet, but he did all of that off screen, so it doesn't even matter. Well, actually, we learned all of the research he did in that scene.
Hmm.
Don't actually get to see him do that.
So, what
But
is the ultimate cut of this movie? Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot it's called the Snyder Cut. Never mind, we won't get into that.
is it called the Snyder Cut? I thought he wanted it to be called something else.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if he's changed it now, but as far as I know, it's released the Snyder Cut.
Oh, uh,
I think he's
gosh,
been calling it that too.
if that actually releases, that's gonna be amazing. And we're still doing this show,
Hmm.
that would be amazing.
I could see it being a release on HBO Max when that drops.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. Do you think they would finish all the CGI or they would just leave it like unfinished?
Well, according to him, everything's done except for the CGI. I think was the last thing I read. So I don't. I mean, if they really wanted to, they would just have to do the CGI for him. The rest of the movie should be done.
Plus, is it done? Like all the edits are done, or do you think you'd also have to edit it?
I don't know how much editing you would have to do after the CGI, but I mean, from what I'm reading, it's pretty much just wrapped other than unfinished stuff. So I'm assuming that just means CGI.
You know, I
But I
never.
think I might have read somewhere that he also wanted to shoot another scene or two or something like that. That's probably just him trying to perfect the whole thing.
You know, I never actually wanted to bring up the Snyder Cut in this entire thing, and we did anyway. It's fine. Uh, so this
It's
actually
bound to come out.
makes a lot of sense, right? Because so you have that tutorial where Batman fights the burglars and the parademon.
Hmm.
Next action scene is Wonder Woman versus all of those bombers. So you're already stepping it up in the next scene.
Yeah.
So in an action scene, that would be really like an action scene. In a video game, that would make sense. You fought one bad guy, human bad guy. Now you're fighting a small group of human bad guys.
And you're getting used to the controls for both Batman and Wonder Woman at this point.
You are, which also makes sense.
Hmm.
But in that scene, just because this is how I did it, why are the group of school children at a bank? Is it a bank? I assumed it was a bank, but I guess now I'm saying it could not be.
Was it an art museum?
Is it? Actually, we don't even know what that building they're in is, do we?
See, next week I'm going to have to pay attention to that just to see if I can find out exactly what it is. But, I mean, I don't assume there'd be any reason why kids would be at a bank, so it's got to be some kind of museum.
Yeah,
But
I said bank because I assume that's always what it was. I say that
unless
like
they
I
were
watched this
trying to,
movie a bunch.
unless they were trying to steal a piece of art. But what were
Well,
they doing there? Do we know that?
remember the plan is
To
to.
blow it up.
Okay, so here is something that I actually put this here. Uh, cause so the plan, the big villain plan, is to blow up whatever building they are in because the world is terrible and it's gonna make the world better. Like, or get it in that kind of place. I do not know how blowing up one building would do that.
Huh.
It's like, okay, so 9/11,
So,
all of those terrorist attacks, they're terrible, they're tragedies, they are incredibly bad. It
hmm
did not suddenly, destroy America, right?
yeah. Well, I mean,
And
we came up from it.
yeah, in fact, it made it arguably better in some ways.
Hmm.
So their plan makes no sense.
They were just well. That's why I think that was an added scene from Whedon because it really, I mean, it highlights Wonder Woman in it, but it really has no, I don't know,
Well,
connective tissue really to anything else other than
which
just a scene to highlight her.
yeah. Well, okay. I actually put that's a Whedon scene because she's actually saving people.
Well,
That's how
that
you
too.
know it's a Whedon scene.
I
But
guess, yeah,
here's
because in Batman vs Superman, she never wanted to help anybody.
yeah. So I have another question in that scene.
Hmm.
So she Spider-Man's that guy off the floor, and she does the "Who are you?" Like, who are you?
Hmm.
Why does the guy say what their motives are and not, "Hi, my name is Bill. I'm from, the East Side. You know, that
Yeah.
should be a really easy joke, right?"
Well, again, I mean, see, you would if it was Snyder, I would understand, but I mean, it's Whedon, so I'm surprised he didn't take advantage of that.
That seems like an incredibly Whedon joke,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Also, there's this dumb line, which this happens a couple of times, and I want to look at it next time, where a character, usually a villain, will say something.
Hmm.
In this scene, it's "I don't believe it." Just a really generic line, like "I don't believe it." And then Wonder Woman's like, "I'm a believer." In what? What is the noun that you're referring to in this sense?
Everything. She's a believer.
I'm losing my mind watching this movie.
Now
Well,
you're looking into it too much.
what is she believing? Uh, so then we have there's other scenes in between this. I think the Flash scene is in there, and I would just more imagine doing like a tutorial where he's running
Yeah.
either to the jail or out of it.
It's
Maybe you
more
can
of
use
just like a cut scene.
well, yeah, but
Well,
you want
okay, I can see it would be a cut scene, but then it would give you the opportunity to it would stop and give you the opportunity to actually draw on that guy behind him.
well, I'm not talking about the actual scene in the jail.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about because when you do this video game, you'd want to give them Flash's controls and how you would control Flash in those moments.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd want to do a pretty like because this is another tutorial. You'd want to do another low tension thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it'd probably be either him like racing to the jail, like dodging cars and stuff,
Yeah.
or him racing back to the train station where he lives, or the wherever it is by the rail station.
Mm-hmm.
You'd want to do either one of those.
Or even like do see, I guess it would be yeah, you'd have to do the dodging cars. I was gonna say you could do it to where he's trying to use his speed but also like hide at the same time, but if he's going super fast, he doesn't need to hide.
I
So
would actually say you could do dodging cars, and then you'd want to outrun the train, right? Because that'd be the most Flash thing to do, is to be able to outrun
see
the
if you can
train.
outrun it. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We just made that scene better because that scene doesn't. Because that scene honestly does not matter and could be cut out.
Just give him a moment because the problem is, I mean, so we're introduced kind of to him in Batman vs Superman, but then when we see him, the only time we actually get to see his powers is later on when Bruce goes to his hideout.
Yeah.
Well, how come we don't get an opportunity like Batman and like Wonder Woman got, where he gets to actually like just show his powers in the beginning?
Well, there is that test footage, right? Or that cut scene where he does save somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've seen like unfinished CGI of that.
Oh,
So
see,
maybe
like,
it's
how
that.
come something like that wasn't in there?
I don't know. But I do know that the scene on Themyscira is already a video game cutscene, so I don't have to mention it.
It's already done for you.
But but I do have some more questions. I have just more
Hmm.
thoughts. Uh, so they keep the mother box, this very
Hmm.
dangerous tool, in just some blank vault. Like it's not really guarded. It seems like in any way until they realize it's acting up. But
My que-
you'd
oh,
think
go
I
ahead.
imagine it like a vault, like Indiana Jones, and yet there are like no traps or anything there.
No, they're protecting
I guess, but
it.
it's weird. Uh,
So did so Wonder Woman came out before this movie,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Wait, did it
And
come out? Did it even come out the same year? Maybe.
I
I
think
think
it
it
did.
did. Oh.
So in Wonder Woman, I can't remember. Do we even see that vault?
I haven't watched it since the theaters, or maybe one other time I watched it after
I'm
that.
just curious if it was even in the Wonder Woman movie or if it was just thrown into the Justice League movie.
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that's just randomly thrown in now, so it might not have been.
I'll have to watch Wonder Woman at some point while we're doing this whole thing.
Uh, so yeah, I guess maybe you know what? I say that there was nobody guarding it, but then someone had to notice that it was acting up.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not even in the city, it's just out near the ocean. And if you don't go out there, you never know. It's like a phone. If you lose your phone, you don't know it's ringing.
Well, I never understood, like, so with the whole, what is it, is it Mother
Yeah.
that's shooting down the beam? Or how does that work exactly?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how any of that makes sense.
Because,
But
like, nobody ever seems to acknowledge the actual beam of light throughout the whole movie.
okay, because I think what that's supposed to be is a boom tube, which is like a very New Gods thing to do. But yeah, nobody actually mentions that's what it is.
But nobody ever, like, so even at the end of the movie when he's being taken back, they just kind of watch him. Like,
Yeah, Cyborg should know what that is because he's part New God, I guess, part New God technology.
like, would Batman not have, I don't know, like a little recording mechanical bat thing or something that he could just throw up in there to see what's on the other side? Like, nobody ever talks about what could be on the other side of that. They're just like, okay, well, that happened.
I think if they ever actually make a Justice League 2, which if they do, it will not be a sequel to this movie, right? They're not going to make a sequel to this movie.
Unless they
But
somehow get Ben back.
well, I think what they'd want to do, right, is to go in the new direction with the new Batman, and then this Wonder Woman again, because she's the only one thing sticking around, and I guess Aquaman.
Yeah. I'm curious how they're going to figure this all out.
So I
The
had
only
this
thing
have
I can think of is, oh, go ahead.
I'm just gonna bring up the worst part of this movie, Steppenwolf, because that's the scene he's introduced in,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that he is just plain like gray and silver and brown makes no sense to me.
No. I
Why
don't.
is he not like bright red? Like why is he not like incredibly like ostentatiously colored?
You know what's sad? I think, not to bring up Marvel vs. DC or anything, but I think Thanos could use the Reality Stone to make a better version of Steppenwolf as a figment of what people are seeing than the version we got.
That's dumb. That doesn't make sense. Other than I feel like Steppenwolf is just one of those grunts from Infinity War, one of those four guys.
That's exactly what he is. One of the children.
The Black Order, the Dark Order, whatever they're called.
Yeah. He easily could have just been one of them.
Yeah. But those guys are even more distinct than him. But yeah, it just bothers me that he's not different colors.
Mm-hmm. He's just boring.
Yeah, I legitimately do not know why they chose it. I really don't, and I can't figure it out. It's one of those things where there's nothing I could learn that would make it make sense to me.
And I swear I think I've seen better video game characters than he is.
Oh, one of the characters in the Doom game is so you know the Doom guy is like that green with like the big chest plates and stuff, right? You've seen him?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a demon version of him that you fight, and he is even cooler. But Steppenwolf is also a dick to horses because he keeps just knocking them over. Like he runs and he just bashes them over. He does it like 3 or 4 times in that entire chase scene. And I'm like, just hit the person, stop hitting the horse.
Is there a Justice League video game? Remember back like in the day when Oh, I say back in the day, but back in the day for us, when movies like this would come out and there would be a video game that was like the movie version of the video game or whatever you want to
Well,
call
that's
it.
what I was imagining this was.
Yeah, well, did did we never get one for this movie?
I mean, there is that VR game I told you about
Yeah, I wonder if they just copied and pasted Steppenwolf
from that.
from the movie onto the video game.
There's a Justice League Heroes PlayStation 2 game.
I don't know. Anyways, continue.
It's super convenient, by the way, that when Themyscirans shoot that arrow, that fiery arrow, that Diana has a television on to see it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's
Or that she even watches television.
well, I guess it would make because I guess she's working and it's a news channel, so it kind of makes sense. But
And they're just like, yeah, she'll know. What if she just forgot one time? She was just like, oh, that's interesting, and just ignored it.
yeah, you'd think that actually, if this was a TV show, right? If this was a really badly written like TV show,
Mm-hmm.
I could imagine that being a plot for like an episode or two of what's going on. And she's like, I don't know. I can't remember.
I know it means something, but I can't remember what it means.
I could imagine that being a plot for an episode or two.
Hmm.
Let's see. The Steppenwolf backstory is also a cutscene already.
That's like one of those. Yeah, I won't change it.
I could actually imagine that instead being the very beginning of the video game, like you started open, like you start it,
Oh
and that
yeah,
would be the first cutscene you see of the entire game,
I agree. That would work.
making me almost want it to be the beginning of the movie.
Although it would be so disappointing because you're gonna watch it and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, man, I'm gonna get to be Green Lantern.
Oh
But then,
no!
but then
Oh
you never get to be Green
no!
Lantern.
But in that scene, he loses, right? Because his whole
Yeah,
point is that he lost. Why isn't he scared in that moment and get eaten?
that's true. Plot
What's
holes.
what's the difference in him being beaten by six kind of not great heroes versus literal gods?
Plot holes.
Indeed. Also, Bruce and Diana are just walking around a lake, and I do not know where they are when they do that.
It's his lake,
Oh, is that little house thing that he lives in?
I think. I mean, isn't that the lake where the ship comes out of towards the end of the movie?
Maybe. I've never thought about it that much.
Huh.
And that was just the thing I keep thinking, like, why did they choose to walk around a lake? Then we get Atlantis, which the Atlantis attack, which I could imagine being like a really cool like turret or tower defense scene.
Yeah, that
And
whole Atlantis scene that was terrible.
well, yes. But when you're doing it, you would start out as like one of the guards just shooting your gun or whatever, and then you have to wait for Arthur to magically show up.
Yeah, and then you get
How
to
does he
transfer
know?
to Arthur, then F everything up.
Yeah, how does he know where to go? By the way,
He talks to fish.
I get so he talked. Well, he doesn't talk to fish. The ocean talks to the fish for him. He says that later in the movie.
He had a sharky sense.
Yes, his shock senses are tingling.
Yes, he knew that he had to go back to Atlantis, where he was trying to stay away from because he didn't want anything to do with it. But as soon as his sharky senses were tingling, he knew he had to go back there.
That scene after that fight too is pretty bad when he's talking to Mara, who is not being very well acted in that scene.
Oof. Oh, we.
She's
Yeah,
so
and they had no idea what to do with the special effects during it.
yeah, because again, that movie hadn't come out yet, so they didn't know what Atlantis looked like.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't know what those underwater sections looked like yet. So it all
Yeah,
looks.
which the actual movie though is crazy good compared to what we saw.
Oh yeah, I mean that all the underwater stuff is so good. Some of it looks bad, but when like every scene is that good looking, you kind of make sense to lose it.
Did you ever feel? This is a little side note, but did you ever feel um, watching Aquaman that it was basically like live action anime?
You know what? I had not, but I can absolutely see it.
Like next time you watch that, just have that in your mind when you watch it.
I can see that. It's kind of like a Speed Racer or something in that way.
Yeah.
It's trying to be as yeah, that makes sense. Or the actual Japanese live action like anime movies.
Like I'd be interested to see if James Wan was inspired by any specific shows along
That'd be
those lines.
yeah, that makes sense. The Braxton Island, which I actually learned the name of that for
Hmm.
this, uh, is a mix of like bringing it all together, right? So you have a platforming scene, kind of like Uncharted or something, where you go from platforming to like action.
Yeah.
Then you get the boss fight against Steppenwolf, your first one.
Hmm.
Where I would imagine you'd win on purpose, right? Because I have another scene in there where you'd lose on accident, where like you can't win.
Hmm.
But I'd imagine this is one where you like win, but you don't fully beat them.
Yeah, they escape.
Yeah.
Or
Then you
yeah, well, yeah,
then you get another third section with the Nightcrawler,
which is fun.
which would be cool. Yeah. Uh,
That'd be like in line of Arkham Knight, I think it is, when you get to control the Batmobile. Yeah.
that would make sense. And then you get like a quick time event or do like that running thing, get another running sequence with the Flash as he tries to save people or get Wonder Woman's sword.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh yeah, yeah, the
anyway,
timing thing where you have to like drag the left stick over or something.
a QTE event, a quick
Yeah.
time, which I have in
Hmm.
another time, which is my next one for bringing Superman back. That's what that would be.
No.
Because that would make sense, right?
Yeah, I would use it for both of them.
Also, that would have a really cool, like a fail, like a failure state where you fail and it doesn't bring him back. And it's like, oh no, we failed, and it has a failed, and you start it over again.
Yeah.
But I figured out in that action scene why the bullet time sequences for the Flash do not work.
Why?
I figured it out. It's all the electricity around him.
So I never
Because
understood that.
when he's
Go ahead.
running, there's all that electricity. It's way too chaotic. There's way too much going on.
Hmm.
So like it tries to be cool because it's lighting everyone up in different ways. But when it's just him, there's way too much going on, and you lose him in the frame.
Okay, so my question though on this, in the comics he's got lightning around him, right?
Yeah, it is yellow lightning, which should be yellow in this too.
I just never understood, like, I don't know, maybe this is more comic accurate, but in all the other versions we've never really seen lightning around him.
Or if it is around him, it's just around him and not around everything else.
Yeah, it almost makes me feel like he's gonna start, I don't know, bringing lightning down from the sky.
That'd be cool. Uh, how
Storm.
did Aquaman? Okay, so since he's Sharkman as well, we can talk to sharks. Is that how he knew where to go to find Bruce and Steppenwolf and stuff to save them?
uh,
Because again,
yeah, I don't.
he again just shows up, perfect timing.
Secret door.
Well, it's not a secret door because he comes in through the hole that he makes, that Steppenwolf makes.
Yeah, I don't know. He's just there. I usually just kind of let him do whatever, just because I like him so much
That
in
makes
this
sense.
movie and in his own movie. So
That
if he
makes
feels like just coming out of nowhere and just showing up, I'm okay with that.
Also, again, Cyborg leaves for really no reason.
He had a
I
reason.
mean, well, okay, so there is a reason, but I'll get into that in my other notes. But really, there's no reason.
He had to go use the bathroom.
But he is,
He didn't want to wait.
but he isn't basically robotic. He's mostly robot.
Okay, but he said he could feel his toes later on.
He could, which he says he doesn't understand the physics of, but it's not physics. Because
So
that's not,
maybe he feels bowel movements, but he can't actually have bowel movements.
that would be the worst.
Ooh.
Your stomach, like you have really bad, like, like Chipotle Chipotle runs and you can't go.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be terrible.
Poor guy.
Anyway, like I mentioned, the bringing Superman back would absolutely be a quick time event.
Mm-hmm.
But in that scene, there's a crotch shot of Batman, by the way, if you look,
I have noticed that.
which is really weird.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I can't remember, like it's mostly in the foreground, so it's not like it can be anything else really. So that's really weird.
So maybe I interpreted Batman vs Superman wrong, but why would Superman hate him as much as they're making it sound like?
In the next scene,
Or like even just talking about it in general.
well, I
Like
can
they're
see
always
them.
like he definitely doesn't want to see you. Or what do you think he's
I
gonna do when he sees you? Or he's the last one that shows up to him and Superman just pissed at him.
uh I don't know. I guess it almost makes okay, so it makes more sense. Only I think the actual problem is that Batman vs Superman is wrong. So what Batman vs Superman does, as I recall, it's been a while. I have only watched that movie like once in theater,
I
so it's
watched it
been
a
a
couple
while.
times.
It's been a while. I got it for the Ultimate Cut, but I never ended up watching the Ultimate Cut.
Yeah, it's all right. It's better than the theatrical one, but
The theatrical one, as I remember, is just a collection of trailer scenes put together to make some order, but not really a movie.
that's fair.
Anyway, so Batman vs Superman is the problem where they go from hating each other to best friends
Mm-hmm.
in a blink of an eye. When that's not what would happen, you'd have that, enemies to friends arc, and that's what this movie is.
Yeah, but I mean, I just don't understand like the wave that they went through. They
I
didn't like
can
each other, and then they like each other up until him dying, which was his choice at the end of Batman vs Superman. So he still doesn't have any reason to be mad at Batman.
and in
And then in
fact, Batman is crucial because if he hadn't made the Kryptonite Spear, they wouldn't have been able to kill Doomsday.
and he also saved his mom.
That's true.
So what reason does he have to be pissed at Batman for bringing him back to life? I mean, that can't be the only reason why.
I don't know. But speaking of that scene, that is the one time where I'd imagine in the video game you lose on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Like you're Batman, you put up a good fight for a minute, but then he just picks you up by the the mouth and then throws you aside.
And then you bleed somewhere.
Yeah.
I
I
imagine
still
in
like
that
that line.
scene, that well he's like, yep, something's definitely bleeding. I
Mm-hmm.
imagine that clip from Brooklyn Nine-Nine where it's like, you have internal bleeding. Oh, that's good. That's where the blood's supposed to be.
So it makes me
Uh,
wonder if I know that that was definitely a Whedon scene, but was it just comedy for the sake of having that funny moment, or was it a bit of a jab at um, Batman vs Superman?
I mean, it can be both. There's no reason it can't be both.
Almost in the same way that in The Last Jedi versus Rise of Skywalker, when Rey throws the lightsaber into the fire and Luke catches it and he goes, "Well, that's no way to treat a Jedi's weapon," even though he had just done that in the previous movie.
You know what? I had not thought about that because I have not in that context for that movie. But that's interesting.
Yeah,
I
like,
think that's
but in both
also
cases, it's kind of like a comedy moment, but it almost also feels a bit like a jab at the previous director.
I guess.
I mean, not intent. I mean, I'm not saying it's intentional or that's even the case, but you could look at it both ways.
I would say in the Rise of Skywalker moment that's supposed to show some kind of growth
I
for
get that
Luke.
more, yeah.
Anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not here to talk about how when Clark goes into the Gatorade, into the orange Gatorade, he's wearing his suit. He's wearing his funeral suit.
Hmm.
Yet when he comes out, it's like he's the Hulk and he just has his pants on.
Yeah,
What happened to the rest of the suit?
he left him.
Did he get
So
zapped off? If it got zapped off, I'd want to see that. Like he's losing like all of. Which if the shirt just got zapped off, everything else would get zapped off too. Let's not beat around the bush here.
so when he died in the comics, because I don't know this answer, how was he brought back?
He was brought back. So he also did not. Again, it's one of those he didn't actually die things.
Mm.
He was. So remember in this movie how it's like the early stuff showed him in that black outfit.
Mm-hmm.
The black outfit in the comics, as far as I believe, was to soak up solar radiation.
Yeah.
So he comes back, but he's like weaker, as I believe. Like he's in like basically a pod.
Oh.
He's basically in like a rejuvenation pod, and then comes back to beat one of the evil Supermen.
So isn't it in Man of Steel that he like gets blown up basically and he's falling apart, like his skin is falling apart, but then he gets the solar radiation and his skin like regenerate or his body like regenerates.
Uh,
Am I thinking that right?
that's I think
Or is
that's
that Batman?
Batman
That's
versus
Batman versus Superman.
because they shoot the nuke at him
Yeah.
because
So
they're
wouldn't
just
it?
because they're doing Dark Knight Returns in that scene because he gets because Superman saves the country by taking a missile.
Yeah.
So they're
So
doing that scene.
wouldn't it make more sense? I mean, this is just me looking at it a different way. If it just took him a while to regenerate. Like, so
But
they buried him because he was dead and everything. Yeah, that's fine. He put him in a box. Okay, let's just say a year goes by. Well, that could be a year of him in that box and his body just slowly regenerating because he's not as close to the sun, but his cells are still, being on Earth's gravity and everything. They're still working.
photosynthesis.
Yeah. So, and then you could just skip the whole part of them trying to bring him back and then go to them trying to come up with a plan to defeat Steppenwolf, go to the big fight, and then Superman just like coming back from the dead, basically, and then having the beard because his cells are, you know, what's the word?
Regenerating.
Regenerating, and then eventually his, hair's also growing.
Oh yeah, that would actually be really good, right? So he comes back, because like they say like this is generic like help, and he
Hmm.
like wakes up and he flies and helps them, and then that'd be so much better. Start
Like
making
he's in
this
a
movie
you,
good.
you could even have like a coma scene similar to the scene he has with Zod in Man of Steel. How like it's in his head, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so you could
I
even have
believe it
that
is.
where he's talking with his dad, similar to the one in Batman vs Superman. And so he's talking, but then it's interrupted, like he's trying to move on, but he hears a voice, and then that's his super hearing, and realizes that he actually can't move on. He has to go back, and then that could be the reveal that he had been regenerating that whole time.
Shane, can I just you have a baby in the background. I just want to say that.
Yeah, I hear him.
But also I want to say that one of these times I want one of our episodes to be remaking this movie. You should use that as one of your things for remaking the movie.
I think I'm going to. I mean, I don't know if I may have read something like that before somewhere or what it was, but that just came to mind when we were talking about it.
Uh, since you want to make this movie good, I'm gonna ask a question and have try and make this movie better.
Okay.
Uh, so one of the big things in that scene is that Cyborg's technology doesn't work,
Hmm.
and it's supposed to be a problem again, but it's not. This is the only time it comes up.
Hmm.
Why did they make him in that scene in the first scene at the island? Make his tech act up then? Because he's around Parademons and Steppenwolf, who are all uh like bad guys.
The only thing I can think, I mean, that would make sense to me is that
That would have been
it's
good. Is
from
all I'm
it's
saying.
from the mother box, and the mother box is I don't know. I can't come up with that one.
Because that would have been good. That would have been a good character arc thing. He doubts himself, so the technology doesn't work. Then when he believes in himself, the technology works.
See, how come we never got a again, not trying to compare Marvel and DC, but it would have been cool if we would have gotten a moment similar to that in Iron Man 2 at the end when Iron Man and War Machine are there and all the other
Androids.
hammer tech bots come down.
Yeah.
And they're just like, all right, let's do this. And they just go full on, just shoot them down mode. Like, no, I don't think there's any music in that scene. It was just straight up just shooting the crap out of him. How come we never saw that with Cyborg? Like, just a moment where he just was surrounded by, 50 parademons, whatever it is, and he just goes full on, like, robot mode.
I do not know. But I think I found a way. Again, was fixing this movie, but that's just because I thought about it. So one thing we both hate is after Clark, Lois comes and they leave. They just leave. Bye, I guess. The boom tube opens and they take the mother box. We both hate that. They do nothing. They're terrible heroes in that moment.
Yeah. Is that when Superman's supposed to like fly through there and be like, "Hey, what's going on here?"
Well, what they really should have done, right, is they should have made them all more injured, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, Batman couldn't do anything because something was bleeding.
Yeah, realistically, like, Superman should have flown through there. Wonder Woman should have, like, jumped through. Batman should have used his grappling gun to hook onto somebody. And Cyborg should have dragged Flash all the way through there, and they should have just gone, and then you could just ended it there. Part 1, done.
Yeah, they should. Well, because that's what they should have done, or they should have made them all more injured, so they couldn't get up and fight.
Or you have them go through Part 1, done, end it like that. You don't know what's going to happen. Then have Ava DuVernay, her New Gods movie come out, do the whole backstory thing, then lead up to the Justice League coming through the boom tube, end that movie, and then come back with Justice League Part 2, which is both of them combined.
Anyway, talking about bad things again. The final... I'm just going to jump, because there's no action scenes until after that point, which is the final battle, which I just imagine being all of the skills you've learned in that moment.
Yeah.
The QTEs, the turrets, the action sequences. And you get a flight section. You get to fly the Batwing thing. I guess it's not a Batwing. It's just a Bat troop carrier.
Yeah.
Which, why didn't they give...
clever.
Yeah, why did they give that a name?
It's the Bat troop carrier.
I guess that's all it is. I mean, he has the Nightcrawler. That's a thing. Sorry, Nightcrawler. I'm sorry.
Well, he was still working on it in the beginning of the movie, so maybe he hadn't gotten to the naming phase yet.
That's true. That's a very comic book thing to do. I'm imagining from like the beginning of the Scott Snyder Batman stuff, where you see him working on that bat suit, the mech suit, the entire time, and then he fights all of the bad guys at the end of that first arc in the bat suit, in that mech suit.
Yeah. He just didn't have time to name it.
Anyway, what I like a lot, going back to Aquaman, is that he says that he doesn't feel right on land or sea, and so he does all of his coolest stuff while he's in the air.
That's actually pretty funny.
That's just one of those things that I could not have been on purpose, but that is just really weird.
It's really funny, though.
Also, when Flash kills all those bugs, his outfit, all that is clearly CGI on his outfit.
How come he's the only one?
Because he literally just runs through them.
But I mean, it's supposed to be their blood, right?
Yes.
So everybody else is fighting them. Aquaman is stabbing them with his pitchfork.
Yeah, why is there no blood coming out when he stabs them?
Yeah, I mean, you could get away with that. It's green. It wouldn't have to be R-rated or anything.
No. Anyway, that was the last of the notes for the video game I had, because there's really nothing after that. That would be video game related. Because you have the thing. You'd have Lois Lane talking about nothing. Because one of my notes...
It would just be a bunch of cutscenes.
Yeah, so it probably basically end there. But one of my notes is I actually don't know what Lois Lane is talking about.
Ever?
Well, not ever, but in that scene at the end, what is she writing about? Is she writing about the thing that happened in Russia? Because I guess that's what she's writing about. But she could be writing about Superman coming back.
It's just her inner monologue. She's still writing about kittens and trees.
Okay. Which, can I just mention that? So we see a thing earlier. I think it might even be in that like opening montage of
Mm-hmm.
did they go back to their home planet and one of them is Superman, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
When he comes back, won't people think like either the government tricked them into thinking he died,
Well, I
or
mean,
for
I
like
think they'd be
lied for
more.
political reasons?
I mean, people think that, but I think on Superman's part, it'd be more of like, oh wow, he really is like an alien, so he can't be killed. But
Well,
I'm more
it'd be
concerned about
that.
Clark. I'm more concerned about Clark because
Yeah, they buried
they're
him.
yeah, and all of her friends know that he died, and how is she supposed to have a like a public relationship with him now?
Well, yeah, that doesn't Ma Kent in that funeral scene at the end, aren't there like a bunch of people there? Or
Mm-hmm.
is it just the heroes?
No, I think it's a bunch of people.
That's weird. So that causes a problem.
Yeah, I mean, we'll never get our answer to it. I don't think.
No. And
Considering it
also,
looks like Henry Cavill is having more fun playing The Witcher than he is playing Superman right now.
which to be fair, he's doing a better job at. I mean, that's not his fault. I'm not saying that this Superman's his fault.
No, he's also a huge. I mean, I'm sure he was a big fan of Superman, but he's also a huge fan of The Witcher, anyways.
Yeah. And
So
that
he.
character's written way better than this Superman is.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Also, in that scene at the end before he flies off, this is always a Superman thing, and just a like movie slash comic book thing in general.
Mm-hmm.
When they open their button-up shirt, they just popped all those buttons off. I just want to say that as someone who's had to wear them a bunch. If you
Yeah,
want to do that, you'd have to undo every button and then you do that. It's a hassle.
but they're not buttons.
Like, are they like Velcro?
No, well, not Velcro. They're the Oh man, well, I don't know what they're called, but like the they're
The
like
snap
buttons, not.
buttons?
Yeah, the snap buttons.
They didn't look like snap buttons, but okay.
I'm giving him benefit of the doubt.
Okay. So do you have any notes before we go into my smaller notes?
Nothing off the top of my head. I'll just bounce off whatever you come up with.
So I figured out in that scene in the montage, the beginning montage,
Mm-hmm.
there's that guy who I noted who kicks fruit over because he hates fruit.
Yeah.
Because okay, so fruit killed his family, which is very sad. Which is why he hates them. But he's also racist because the woman that he's yelling at is wearing a hijab, which I did not notice.
Ooh.
So that makes more sense.
There's deeper meaning to it.
Let's see. So there's that, which is weird. That's just a weird thing that I noticed. So Bruce shows up to that cannery in Iceland or wherever, Greenland,
Mm-hmm.
to look for Aquaman. And he talks about how like there's a clog in the ocean, like boat clog or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. Because you would think Aquaman would come and free them so that wouldn't happen. But one, Bruce gives like no money because he's a billionaire and he's only going to pay them a couple $100,000 for information.
Mm-hmm.
So one, he's cheap. He's cheap.
He just bought a bank at the end of it, but he's cheap.
He buys a bank, which made me think he should just buy the cannery and give them all jobs. Also, Aquaman loses his jacket and shirt because he's about to go swim off in that scene.
Mm-hmm.
Do they just leave it there?
Yeah.
Does someone pick it up for him? What happens to that?
He's got minions.
Also, I like how he totally exposes that Bruce Wayne is Batman. I like how he just says Bruce Wayne wearing a bat suit. Thanks. Now anyone in that town can go call, and be like, hey, I got the hottest scoop.
You know, no, go ahead. I'm trying to think of how I'm going to word something, but you go ahead.
Okay. Also, Bruce Wayne uses Gillette
Yes.
because that's the razor he uses.
Product placement.
Yes. There's another product placement, so I'll just jump to that. Bruce Wayne is a huge Mercedes fan.
Yeah.
Or
Which is
both,
really unusual. He doesn't look like he would drive a Mercedes.
or either he and Diana just both independently drive Mercedes vehicles.
Product placement.
Well, and this reminds me of in BVS, he drives that Jeep, which you could buy, and it's called like Dawn of Justice Black Jeep is like the name of the Jeep.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's interesting.
Also, I think our problem with this Barry Allen, other than being super weird, is that he's not proactive. Grant Gustin is super proactive.
Yeah. He has a job. He's got a wife.
Is he married? Is he married now?
I haven't kept up with it. I think they are, or they were. Or
Again, only watched like season 2, up to season 2. Because I heard really bad stuff about all the Flashpoint. When they do try to adapt Flashpoint, I just heard bad stuff about it, so I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
I just know that he makes more sense as a Flash because he's, with the police force anyways. Or forensics, whatever you want to call it.
Which he is at the end of the movie, so I can't fault him for that. But just in general, right? He's not a very proactive guy. Kind of just waiting around.
And Iris was supposed to be in this movie, right?
I actually remember that. Who was supposed to play her?
That I don't know off the top of my head.
I want to say no. That was Amazing Spider-Man 2 is when they had Mary Jane and cut her.
Yeah, no, that was. I understand why, but I wanted to see it.
So, do we know where the third mother box is? The one that Cyborg gets?
Doesn't his dad have it in Batman vs Superman? Like that's how he was made, right?
Yeah. So is it at Star Labs?
That's what I would assume, but we have no idea where it was before then.
So okay, if it is at Star Labs,
unless it was actually Cyborg himself.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say this because it goes back to my point earlier, where I'm like, why does he leave in that scene? Is Star Labs seems to be built around Zod's ship, which is where they bring Superman back, which is also where the mother box is.
So everything is conveniently right there.
Why did he leave? Why did he take it from Star Labs to then just bring it back? So think about that. Think about that chain of events. He's born. It is there. Then he remembers in that moment after saving them. Oh crap! I need to get that. And he flies off and gets it. And then is like, okay, now I have this. Now let's bring Superman back, and it has to take it all the way back again.
Yeah, it seems like a waste of time.
It does. Also, Cyborg, for my money, has too much technology on him.
Yeah, shouldn't he he should just be able to do anything he wants, right?
Well, I'm more thinking of, because when you and I both think Cyborg, we think Teen Titans show.
Yeah, a lot more.
He had more like human bits, like he had human biceps, right? And he had like human like legs a little bit. Why doesn't he have more like human bits on him?
Because he's full robot. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Okay, That makes sense. But then why does he also have a butt?
For pooping.
Because he has a very distinct, when he leaves that the Nightcrawler in that scene, I noticed that he has a very distinct actual butt. Like a
Interesting.
fully like rendered like butt. Like it's
I
not
never
like
noticed that.
it's not like, I'm not saying it's super detailed enough or anything, but it's clearly like outlined as a butt that he's got.
hmm
Uh Fun
That
fact,
that
yeah.
actress that was supposed to play her is Kiersey Clemens, which the only thing I know her from is a movie called Dope.
How do you spell that name so I can look her up?
Kiersey
Oh,
Clemens with
found
one
her.
M. Yeah.
Found her right away. She's the only one.
Oh, she was in Flatliners. Okay. That's where I've seen her at. The remake Flatliners.
Ah. I've seen her in something else, which is why I was excited.
She was in Neighbors 2, New Girl. That's what you've seen her in.
I have seen her in New Girl, but it was before that, so it was something else. Who was she in New Girl? Oh, I do not know what episode that was in New Girl. There was something else I've looking through.
I don't know.
There's something else I'd seen her in where I was super excited.
I know she's got a lot of projects coming up, but
Yeah. Anyway, I was excited for it, and now I cannot remember why, which is bothering me. But let's see. Going back to my notes because I have a lot of them. Because I just think about this stuff. That janitor before he gets kidnapped by the alien is whistling the "Everybody Knows" song from the opening.
oh, I don't think I noticed that.
Uh, let let's see. Ma Kent's hair looks like it was recently dyed to be gray.
Makes sense.
Yeah, because I'm sure all of those scenes were remade, were reshot.
Fun fact. I
Yeah.
was just kind of looking through because she's still supposed to play Iris, I believe, in the Flash movie if that ever comes out. But did you see who they recently added as director?
No, I did not.
Andy Muschietti. Do you recognize that name at all?
I'm sure you're about to tell me who that is.
No, I'm not going to tell you.
Okay, then no.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, he directed both of the It movies.
Oh, that's perfect.
It's very interesting.
Great. Well, that makes sense considering the producer of those movies is now like the kind of the showrunner, for lack of a better word, of DC.
Oh, yeah.
That
I
makes
guess it
sense. Uh,
But yeah, that was just a side note because I just saw that.
she is playing. She's gonna be the Iris is gonna be in the new Scooby Doo movie that they're making,
Mm-hmm. That is
which
true.
I'm excited for. That reporter that comes in asking Lois for her source.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. He says it has something to do with protests. Because he's into that, because he is looking up, he's researching all of the kidnappings.
Mm-hmm.
Why does he think it has anything to do with the college protest? How does he come to that conclusion?
It was all just a reason for us to find out that she's not doing stories anymore.
Okay, that's the plot reason, but what's his reason? I want to really dig into this one note character. You know what I actually want? We'll come back to that. And in week 37, we're going to go into a deep dive into just him.
How come, or actually, this would have been a good time with Clark being dead for Jimmy Olsen to not be dead and to be there for her.
Oh my, yeah, why did they kill Jimmy Olsen? God. Also, Barry randomly has pizza when he goes with Bruce Wayne.
I'm okay with that.
He does. Yeah, I know. That was just something I noticed where they leave the scene. He's just got a large pizza. It's also just cheese, which I imagine that Barry Allen would not eat.
No, he would get like meat lovers.
Meat lovers, I can see him eating a Supreme real easily.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so you mentioned this, I think, last week. That Russian family should absolutely be dead, yes.
Yeah, they should have died like days ago.
Because, one, they are scared, which we know they are attracted to, they being the parademons.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Two, only time we ever see them, they're just crawling around the house. Like they're like insects on a like on a shield, like on a window or windshield.
Yeah, how come they don't just go in?
Yeah, they could easily just fly in and take them.
I don't
And
know. I just never liked that scene.
no, it's not great. Any of those scenes. Which is,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess the point of it, right, is to get us into their like purview so we can see what's going on from like a human perspective.
Yeah, except there's nothing human about this movie.
Well, that they are themselves are not humans, they're just props to act as humans.
Well, you know what I mean. The most human thing is the very beginning with the kids, and even that isn't right.
No, no. And, uh, anyway. Also, here's a fun continuity error. Steppenwolf, before we get the island, before they go to the island and have that whole action scene, Steppenwolf tells the parademons to go find it, and then he does not leave, so we see him standing there.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next time we see him interrogating people. Why would he show up then when he could just take all of those people to Russia?
Fine, I will do it myself. That's why.
But he doesn't say that. That'd make more sense. Diana has a single, I do not know what it's called. Maybe, some ladies that we know would actually know better. But Diana has this, like, circular ring, like, earring around just her left ear.
Okay, I never noticed that.
Yeah, I was watching. Is the scene where they're arguing about bringing Clark back, and I looked, and she had on her left ear. It's like these two gold like earrings around like the top of her ear.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe is that cartilage? No, that's not cartilage. I don't know what that's called.
I
Uh,
couldn't tell you.
but then she doesn't have it on the other side. That's super weird. That's a really weird choice.
Just a one-sider.
Yes. Uh, I like how this Batman does not have a collection of bat suits, but has a collection of just suits of armor. That's fun.
I do like his like armor. I mean, I don't want to say fully armored suit, but his very Arkham game suit that he wears towards the end of the movie.
Yeah. He also should be wearing the suit from BVS. That'd be so super effective in the fight. That powered up suit,
Yeah.
right? Or am I wrong about that? Because that makes sense.
No, you're right.
Uh, it bugs me. You mentioned this last time, and it bugs me that Flash and Cyborg are supposed to bond because of the accidents, right?
Yeah.
Why do they
Because
have
it weren't.
no? Why do they have no chemistry between them then?
I mean, don't. No, they do. Towards the end of it, they bump fists finally.
Okay. Okay. So here's
That's
what
the
I would
universal
imagine.
chemistry thing.
Okay, so here's what I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
The Flash's Barry's whole thing is that he is on a different wavelength than other people.
Mm-hmm.
That instead of like the usual speedster thing of he's impatient, he's just off.
Yeah. Yeah, he is very off.
Why doesn't Cyborg, who is technology, also have that? And the reason they is because they're both off, and so they can kind of match each other. Because one thinks super quick, and the other thinks like a computer super quick.
I think the problem is with because, like you said, we compare back to the cyborg we have in Teen Titans. This version of cyborg we have is more machine than man, but I think from start to finish, the movie starts to develop his more human side a little bit more of a balance between machine and man than there was in the very beginning.
Yeah, because I guess we're seeing at the end of it, what we're supposed to be seeing, I should say, is him going back to being more of like a football player
Mm-hmm.
on that team mentality. But gosh, they just wasted all of that potential.
He does have the booyah moment.
He does, but it's not as cool.
No,
Cause
but
in the show it's like super exciting. He's like booyah, and in this it's just like booyah, like super chilled. It's not as cool.
yeah, it kind of sucks because I don't know if we're ever gonna see that cyborg again or not. But I'd
No,
like to see like I think him and Flash. I'd like to see their growth the most out of everybody else.
well
Because I
if
mean, Wonder Woman we're getting in the Wonder Woman movies, but
yeah, well if they do Flashpoint as the movie,
mm-hmm.
Cyborg is a big character in Flashpoint.
So they could have him in as a side character.
Yeah, because in the Flashpoint comic, uh, the point is everything is like shifted a little bit, so Superman doesn't really exist.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he exists, but he is like a prisoner of the government.
Yeah.
And so Superman is Cyborg because he is like made by the government, kind of like Captain America,
Yeah.
which that would be cool to see.
Yeah, I want to. I hope that if they do go through with the Flash movie, that they bring him in as a side character.
Yes,
I
that'd be
mean,
good.
it'd be hard because you also want to not take away from it being a Flash movie, which again, if you're doing Flashpoint, it's not really a Flash movie anyways. It's more of like I guess the comparative would be Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which we don't know what it is exactly yet, but from what we can assume, we know that Scarlet Witch is going to be in it, and they're probably going to be doing something to alter the MCU with that movie, is what I'm kind of piecing together. So it's a Doctor Strange movie, but it's not entirely a Doctor Strange movie.
Well,
That's what I
it's
feel like is going to happen with this Flash movie.
yeah, it's not. It's not. I'm trying to think of what it's. He is more the eyes in character to this world over him being the main character.
Yeah, or like I don't know if this is comparative or not, but Captain America Civil War is basically Avengers 2.5, but it's Captain America because he's the main character still, and it's about him and what he's doing, but he's not necessarily the entire focus.
Well, because he's the one with the character arc in the movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is about him insofar as his actions are driving that movie.
So that's why I'm really interested in if they do Flashpoint as a movie and how the multiverse of madness is going to work, because I don't know how well you can develop a character arc or develop these characters over these kind of plots to where you're not losing focus of your main character. Because really, it seems more like just a reason to take these characters into expanding your own cinematic universe or change it in a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if there's anything specific that could happen that would actually grow these characters and make it, their movie. Like, what in Multiverse of Madness, what is Strange going to do that's going to change him as a character? Like, what kind of arc could he actually have in there?
Is that a
I
rhetorical
mean,
question, or are you actually asking?
well, halfway asking. I mean, can you think of anything off the top of your head?
Uh, Something about the other times he saw them winning or losing and him being caught up on wanting to save Tony Stark.
Maybe.
And so he
Or
tries
maybe
to
it could
find
just
a
be like,
universe where that happens and realizes that he can't do it and that even the Sorcerer Supreme does not have that kind of power.
yeah. I mean, I can see what you can do with it, but I think it's what it comes down to is the balance of being able to handle the character and the bigger picture at the same time. Because both of these movies, if they do Flashpoint as the Flash movie, both of these movies are pivotal for the cinematic universes. And so
Going back,
you almost can't just focus on the character, but you have to have a good balance for both.
speaking of character, in the movie we're actually talking about,
Yeah, tangents.
Arthur's entire character arc for his movie is set up when he sits on the lasso. I just like to notice that when he's sitting on the lasso, he has his whole character arc of like, here are my inner problems, and then I guess whoever wrote that movie and like they saw that, I was like, oh, that's what we should be doing with him.
Even though he's a badass whiskey drinking rock star.
Indeed. Also, the two of us hate Flash constantly tripping over himself.
God,
It's
I hate that.
okay. It's okay because Arthur Curry calls him out on it. In that same scene, he's like, this one always trips over his feet. Or tripping over himself. So it's okay because the movie lampshaded it.
He's my spirit animal.
He's not an animal, but okay.
Aquaman is. Yeah, he is. He's part fish.
I don't think he's part fish, but my final note of anything is that when they beat Steppenwolf, that all the flora and fauna grow back. All the flora, I should say, grows back.
Yeah.
So when it's like Lion King, where when Scar's in charge, it's like death. So it's working on that logic. But so that's one thing. That's not really a problem. Like I'm okay with it because it's a movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of those things where you're kind of like cutting down real time to show what is actually happening. Like in prose, like if you're writing a book, it's fine because you could say, and then hundreds of years later, this happens.
Yeah.
So it works. So they're doing that so you could see it. But it's all alien. So the entire ecosystem of at least Russia is totally screwed.
It's Chernobyl too.
It is Chernobyl too. Because there's all of these aliens, and then they're going to be alien animals who eat that stuff.
Or
and then that's going to spread.
What if people being there changes their bodies, and that's how you get some of the superpowered people?
That would make too much sense, but that would actually make sense, but I don't think they're going to do that. We're making this movie better, and that's going to be a problem, because we're going to have to watch this like 50 more times.
Yeah, we got 50 more. We'll have a countdown for it.
I mean, our titles are a countdown enough.
I'm going to get a countdown for my desk so I know how many more weeks I have to suffer.
Yeah, I don't. This is only week 2, and I feel like I cannot imagine what it's going to be like, even just next week, watching it. I'm going to have to find something else to like focus on, because I don't want to go into our gimmicks yet.
Yeah.
We're only 2 weeks in. We can't start burning through our gimmicks yet. We gotta keep it a little fresh. So I'm going to have to find some random detail to really focus on.
So talking about next week we're just bringing in another general discussion about anything else that we noticed on our third watch, any kind of fine details, or, pretty much just bringing in anything that we noticed on this third time that we maybe haven't talked about before on the first or second time.
Yes. I don't know what you wanted me to add to that. That's just what we're going to be doing. You're correct, but it's going to be a good time to watch us. Like, I'm already losing my mind. I'm already like picking details that do not matter, because that's the only thing there is.
I know, I don't want to go to the gimmicks yet, but it's so hard when you don't have something specific to focus on yet.
You know what? Here's what. I'm gonna give it away. I'm gonna give away what I want to talk about next week.
Okay.
So maybe you can think about it next week, or next time we're watching this over the weekend or whenever.
Mm-hmm.
I want us to really look at. We're not going to our gimmicks. We're not going to talk about the characters yet.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we start with the Superman video. Don't answer it. Think about it. Watch it again. Think about it. I have a reason for this. I have a
Okay.
reason for why I'm thinking this and why it's an odd choice and what it's trying to say. But just think about it, because the obvious answer is to set up Superman, but it's deeper than that, or it makes less sense than that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
think about
I will
that for
definitely
next
think about that.
because that's not something you would ever think about, and I'll explain why. It's really interesting when you notice it. So
Yeah, I'm really gonna try to dig into that when I'm watching that this week.
so anything else? Any final notes?
No, I think that's it.
All right. Well, leave a comment, like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell if you're watching on YouTube, or rate, comment, review on any of the podcatchers that you're listening to this on.
Yeah, and if you guys have any questions or anything that you want us to bring up in any of our upcoming ones, then just let us know.
Yes, all of that is Tower City Media. Usually, is it one word on Twitter and on the email?
I think it's all together on everything that I can think of. You should be able to
Okay.
find it like that.
It's a pretty original title
Yeah.
for our thing. So Tower City Media everywhere. And yeah. So have a great time. Watch the movie again for the third time like us, or don't and just watch us suffer through it. I'm okay with that.
We'll see you guys next week.